Ah, horses, majestic creatures, symbols of freedom, and the stars of every romantic countryside montage. But let's not forget, they're also 1,000-pound animals with a mind of their own. Today, we're taking a wild ride, pun intended, through the 5 most disturbing horse riding accidents that'll make you clutch your reins a little tighter. From hair-raising tumbles to how did they survive that moments. These stories are equal parts terrifying and fascinating. Saddle up, folks, because this is going to be one bumpy ride. Christopher Reeve, the legendary actor who embodied Superman, became a real-life symbol of resilience after a tragic equestrian accident on May 27, 1995. It happened during a cross-country jumping competition in Culpeper, Virginia, a sport that demands flawless coordination between horse and rider. What should have been a routine jump turned into a life-altering moment. Christopher Reeve's tragic accident seemed to hinge on something as subtle as a shift in weight. The actor and his horse, Eastern Express, were confidently galloping toward a modest 3-foot-high zigzag rail jump, just one of 15 on a 2-mile course. Everything seemed to be clicking. Reeve was in the middle of the leaderboard and excited about his performance. Lisa Reed, a seasoned horse trainer who had known Reeve for a year, watched the ride unfold. The horse was approaching the fence beautifully, she recalls. The rhythm was spot on, Chris was steady, and they had a good pace going. But then, without warning, that perfect harmony between horse and rider fell apart. As Reed described it, the horse's front legs cleared the fence, but its back legs never followed. Chris is a big man, Reed explained. His upper body was already committed to the jump, leaning forward over the horse's head. But the horse, whether it lost confidence or felt his weight, suddenly decided, "I can't do this." It backed off, just as Chris kept moving forward. What happened next was devastating. Reeve's horse, Eastern Express, approached the third jump but abruptly stopped. The sudden halt sent Reeve flying forward. The reins, tangled in his hands, kept him from breaking his fall. Reeve pitched over the horse's neck, striking his head on the rail before tumbling onto the turf. He landed headfirst, fracturing his C1 and C2 vertebrae. By the time Reed and others reached him, Reeve was motionless. "He wasn't breathing, he wasn't moving," said Helmut Bohm, one of the event organizers who vividly recalled the harrowing moment. It felt like the life had gone out of him. The catastrophic injury left him paralyzed from the neck down and reliant on a ventilator. The accident underscored the dangers of equestrian sports, even for seasoned riders. While Reeve wore a helmet, it couldn't prevent the devastating spinal injury, highlighting the limits of safety gear and the unpredictable nature of working with horses. Despite the grim prognosis, Reeve's determination was unwavering. He embraced intense rehabilitation and became an inspiring advocate, founding the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation to push for advancements in spinal cord injury research and better lives for those living with paralysis. His journey also sparked crucial conversations about equestrian safety, including helmet use and understanding horse behavior, leaving a lasting impact on both the equestrian world and the fight for disability rights. Reeve's story isn't just about tragedy, it's about finding purpose and hope in the face of the unimaginable. His journey shone a spotlight on stem cell research, sparking hope for what the future could hold in medical breakthroughs. On April 30th, 2023, the equestrian community faced an unthinkable tragedy that shook riders and horse lovers across the world. 15-year-old Hannah Surfas, a bright and passionate young equestrian, lost her life in a riding accident at Foxley Farm in Venice, Florida. Hannah wasn't just any rider, she was a rising star, known for her natural talent, dedication, and the deep love she had for her equine partners. This tragic accident, which unfolded during what should have been a routine day of training, serves as a sobering reminder of the risks that come with this beautiful yet unpredictable sport. The day started like many others, with Hannah and her 12-year-old horse, Quacks, participating in a hunter-shot jumper event. The pair was in sync, navigating the course smoothly. their rhythm flawless as they cleared jump after jump. It was just after clearing jump number 5 when things took a tragic turn. As Quacks landed and took a few strides forward, his left front hoof planted awkwardly. The misstep caused him to stumble and lean sharply to one side. Hannah was thrown forward from the saddle, hitting the ground. In a cruel twist of fate, Quacks continued to fall in the same direction, his weight tragically landing on Hannah. The scene was chaotic but filled with swift action. Emergency personnel on site at Foxley Farm rushed to provide Hannah with immediate first aid as Sarasota County Fire Rescue made their way to the farm. She was transported to Sarasota Memorial Hospital's Venice campus, but despite the efforts of first responders and medical teams, Hannah's injuries were too severe. She passed away, leaving her family, friends, and the equestrian world heartbroken. Hannah's story is one of passion and promise. Horses weren't just a hobby for her, they were her life. She grew up around horses, inspired by her older sister's recreational riding. Gymnastics was her first sport, but by the 4th grade, her mother introduced her to the world of horseback riding, a decision that changed Hannah's life. She embraced the sport wholeheartedly, waking up every day at 6:30 a.m. to care for animals on her family's farm in Webster, Florida, before practicing her riding and tackling her homeschool coursework. Despite her young age, her dedication was unmatched. Hannah's talent and drive set her apart. She competed extensively, including the entire 2022 winter circuit at the World Equestrian Center in Ocala. Her coachability and unwavering desire to grow made her a standout rider. "I just got into it and never wanted to stop," Hannah shared in a March 2023 interview. Her bond with horses went beyond competition. She saw them as partners, not just tools, a perspective that endeared her to everyone she met. Hannah's tragic passing has sparked important conversations about safety in equestrian sports. While helmets and gear are vital, her story highlights that no measure can completely eliminate risk. In her honor, her family and fellow riders are working to promote safety, education, and a shared love for horses, ensuring Hannah's legacy lives on in the sport she loved so deeply. During the 2024 Paris Olympics, the equestrian world held its collective breath as one of the most shocking and emotional moments in recent memory unfolded. Henrik von Eckermann, the reigning world #1 in show jumping and a familiar name in the sport, found himself in an unexpected and heart-wrenching situation. Competing in the individual show jumping finals, Henrik was riding his trusted horse, King Edward, a partner he'd worked with for years. The duo had been flawless up until that point, demonstrating the kind of poise and confidence you'd expect from a champion. But in the blink of an eye, things took a dramatic turn. As Henrik approached one of the jumps, something went wrong. King Edward, usually so reliable, hesitated before the jump. Despite Henrik's efforts to keep him on course, the horse ultimately refused the obstacle. The sudden stop caught Henrik off guard, sending him tumbling forward and crashing directly into the jump itself. It was a fall that left everyone in the stadium gasping. Henrik, who had already won Olympic gold in Tokyo 3 years earlier, was one of the favorites to take home another medal in Paris. But after that disastrous moment, his dreams of a second gold came crashing down, literally. In an emotional interview right after the fall, Henrik, who is usually the picture of composure, was visibly shaken, fighting back tears as he explained what had just happened. "This is the worst thing that has happened to me," he said, his voice trembling. The fall was more than just a physical setback, it was a crushing blow to his Olympic aspirations. Henrik had been riding King Edward, a horse known for his small but feisty nature. The BBC's Andy Austin had even described him as little and plucky, a fitting description for the horse's determination. But as the pair faced the 7th jump, things took an unexpected turn. The jump was the first one over water, a tricky obstacle in any competition. King Edward became unsettled, and though Henrik tried to steer him back on track, it was too late. The horse cleared a couple more jumps but then veered off course, suddenly stopping right by an Olympic mascot sign. It was in that moment that Henrik was thrown from the saddle, tumbling to the ground. Miraculously, Both Henrik and King Edward emerged unscathed. However, Henrik's emotional reaction made it clear how deeply the fall affected him. He described the incident as a moment of personal failure, saying, "It's a bit unforgivable on my part, but what should I do? I'm the one who makes it up." His words showed just how much he took responsibility for the miscommunication with his horse. When asked if he was in shock, Henrik's response was simple, yet profound. "No, I just feel ashamed that I have the horse I have and I'm not successful." Reflecting on the fall, Henrik admitted that the issue began at the water jump. After a powerful leap, he was already off balance, and when King Edward veered left while he was leaning right, the confusion was inevitable. This misstep triggered the horse's hesitation, leading to the unfortunate refusal and fall. The crowd was stunned as medical teams rushed to the scene. Thankfully, Henrik was able to walk away with only minor bruises, but the fall served as a stark reminder of just how thin the margins are in the world of show jumping. Even for someone of Henrik's caliber, a slight miscommunication with a horse can lead to catastrophic results. Despite the disappointment, Henrik demonstrated incredible resilience and grace in the face of adversity. He expressed deep gratitude for the support of his fans and acknowledged the unpredictable nature of the sport. The fall also sparked important conversations about rider and horse safety in show jumping, particularly the design of obstacles and the mental and physical well-being of both athletes. Henrik's eventual comeback in later competitions only solidified his status as a true champion, not just in skill, but in character, showing the world that even in the face of failure, a true competitor always gets back in the saddle. On April 3, 2024, amateur jockey Lauren Keane-Hawkins was thrust into the spotlight for all the wrong reasons after a harrowing accident during a race at Worcester Racecourse in the United Kingdom. What was supposed to be a typical day at the races for Lauren quickly turned into a fight for her life, shining a much-needed spotlight on the dangers of horse racing and sparking a crucial conversation about the sport's safety standards. Lauren, 22, was competing in a handicap hurdle race, riding a horse named Fairy Cutlass for her employer, renowned trainer Kim Bailey. During the race, disaster struck as Lauren's horse misjudged a jump at the third-last hurdle. The mare clipped the obstacle and fell, sending Lauren flying through the air before crashing violently to the ground. Witnesses at the scene described the fall as particularly brutal, especially as Lauren hit her head hard on the turf. Despite wearing her helmet, the impact was severe enough to cause a traumatic head injury, leaving everyone in shock. To make matters worse, Lauren was also struck by another horse while still on the ground, compounding her already dire condition. Medical staff were quick to respond, surrounding her with green screens for privacy as they worked to stabilize her. An air ambulance was initially called to the scene, but was later stood down when it became clear that an ambulance could take her to the hospital. Within moments, Lauren was rushed to the hospital, and her family, as well as the racing community, held their breath. Doctors confirmed that she had suffered a traumatic brain injury and a fractured collarbone. Her condition was critical, and she underwent emergency surgery to relieve pressure on her brain. Lauren's family, deeply grateful for the quick response from emergency teams, knew that her survival was due in no small part to the swift medical attention she received. But the road ahead was far from certain. For several weeks, Lauren remained in critical care, fighting for her life. The accident not only brought Lauren's personal journey to the forefront, but also united the racing community in support of her recovery. Fellow jockeys, trainers, and fans rallied around her, organizing fundraisers to cover her medical expenses and rehabilitation. Social media exploded with messages of encouragement and support for the young jockey, showing just how deeply she was loved in the sport. Lauren's accident also reignited important debates about safety in horse racing. While helmets are standard gear in the sport and have saved many lives, her case highlighted their limitations in preventing serious injuries from high-impact falls. This led to growing calls for the development of stronger, more advanced headgear that can better absorb the force of such falls. The accident also prompted discussions about improving hurdle designs to reduce the risk of missteps during jumps. But the concerns didn't end with physical safety. Lauren's fall reminded everyone of the intense psychological toll the sport takes on its riders. Jockeys face immense pressure to succeed, but they also have to navigate the constant fear of injury. Many in the racing world began calling for better mental health support for riders, both during their careers and after they retire, to help them manage the stress and trauma that come with the job. As Lauren continues her recovery, her story remains a powerful reminder of the risks jockeys face every time they ride, and the need for continued progress in making the sport safer for all. On a brisk March morning in 2024, Belgravia, one of London's most tranquil and affluent neighborhoods, became the scene of total chaos. What started as a routine training exercise for 5 elite cavalry horses quickly spiraled into a wild, 2-hour panic. The horses, part of the British Army's household cavalry, were spooked by construction noise, and in a flash, they broke free, galloping riderless through the heart of London. The incident caused injuries to 4 people, extensive property damage, and chaos across several miles of the city, sparking serious concerns about the safety protocols for horses training in urban settings. The madness began during rush hour, as 5 horses, one of them apparently bloodied, bolted from a training session and charged down the streets, past iconic landmarks and through busy intersections. The horses had been participating in a watering order, a standard exercise designed to familiarize them with the bustling urban environment. These horses, known for their role in royal parades, were used to being in the spotlight, but not like this. As they trotted through the posh streets of Belgravia, the sound of falling concrete from nearby construction startled the animals, causing them to panic. 4 riders were thrown from their mounts, and the horses, now fully unrestrained, took off in all directions. The chaos unfolded rapidly, with the horses racing past a London taxi and a double-decker tour bus, smashing the bus's windshield and causing minor injuries to the drivers. A cyclist was knocked off their bike, breaking their arm, while pedestrians suffered cuts and bruises as they scrambled to avoid the rampaging horses. First responders quickly rushed to the scene, tending to the injured and trying to corral the wild animals. At one point, it seemed as though the horses were unstoppable, galloping through busy streets for miles. By the time they were contained and returned to their stables around 10:30 a.m., the damage had already been done. A bloodied horse was seen in the aftermath, sparking concern among onlookers and raising questions about how the incident had unfolded. One cab driver, Robbie, recalled the surreal sight of the horses charging down the street, narrowly avoiding his cab. "I looked in the rearview mirror, and there they were, charging right behind me," he said, adding that one horse was covered in blood. The blood appeared to be from a wound, though it wasn't clear how it had occurred. This bizarre incident shed light on the potential dangers of training horses in urban environments. While the household cavalry's horses are well versed in ceremonial duties, the unpredictable nature of city life posed a unique challenge. Experts suggested that the horses needed more desensitization training to better prepare them for sudden noises, fast-moving vehicles, and crowds. Some even proposed the use of technology, like equine heart rate monitors, to detect stress before it escalates into panic. The cavalry vowed to cover the damages, but the larger question remained. How can the balance between tradition and safety be maintained when training such powerful animals in one of the world's busiest cities?